Hello, out there in YouTube land. Uh, I am from America, but I am living in the Philippines, and I married a Filipino, and we have two daughters, and we all live together in one house. I have a son-in-law with an 8-month-old baby boy, and we all enjoy life here. Things are going okay. Even with the pandemic, I have been closed in the house because of my age. They do not allow you over 60 years old to go out alone. And I only go to the bank once a month with my wife, and that's as far as we go. I come back again. She goes off shopping or whatever, but not that I don't want to go, it's just that I'm not allowed to go because of my age. They don't want us to get sick, which is fine. But I don't do anything anymore. I'm retired, and I sold my home at Christmas time in 2018. And I weren't able to get over here, so I sold my car and my other belongings and all of that and made arrangements to come here in the end of March in 2019. So it's been just about a little over almost 2.5 years now I've been here. And we got married in August, so it will be 2 years married on the last week of August. Anyway, I don't have any plans for going back to the USA because it's too damn expensive, and since I'm living on my retirement, I do very well here, and I wouldn't do so well in the US because what was happening is the further we got along in years, and everything was catching up just before the pandemic when I left. But it had taken me a couple of years to sell the house, and I took a big loss when I sold it. But if I would have hung on to it, it probably wouldn't have sold because of the pandemic. But I found it increasingly difficult because the taxes were going crazy, and the homeowners insurance, and of course all the problems and with maintaining an automobile. And where I lived in the mountains was snow country, so basically from after Halloween, anytime after Halloween until first week or so of April, sometime the end of April, we had inclement weather, and some of the times the temperatures get way below zero, sometimes for a couple of weeks at a time, and the snow was unbelievable. So at my age, excuse me, hard to be shoveling snow, shovel your car out, because where I had to park my vehicle, I had 10 acres on the main road, but where I had to park my vehicle, damn snow plows would come by and bury me in again. So it was always a chore, and it get to be where my monthly check was just disappearing. It wasn't lasting the whole month. It'd probably go like 3 weeks. So it just got to be too much for me, and I decided that I want to look elsewhere to live. So I looked at Costa Rica and Panama and even Russia and the Philippines and Vietnam, and I don't know. I just decided that I met my future wife online in January 2017, and we kept up an online chatter relationship for 2 years before I was able to sell the house and come here. I didn't really want to sell the house for that kind of money, but I saw an opportunity that I was going to have a decent woman. She's not a smoker or a drinker, which was great. She's a stay-at-home type woman. And I met her daughters right out about a week after we met online. She said she had 2 daughters. I said, fine. introduced me, so she did, and right away we got along. My daughters got along with me. They were, I think, 18 or 19 years old at the time, and so now they've graduated with bachelor's degrees in computer science. So they're pretty smart and pretty bright, and they're nice people. They don't drink or anything like that. They go to work and they come home and they take care of business. And the oldest daughter got married here a few months back, and now they have a baby. So they have a baby boy. I think he's 8 months old now. And this is the first time I've been a grandparent, because I never had children, and I wasn't around babies too awfully much. In the family, yes, and no nephews and nieces. I come from a big family, and I had a lot of nephews and nieces, but I've done a lot in my lifetime. I've owned half a dozen properties, and but I was a trucker mostly, even though I had my own business here and there. So trucking took me away, and all over the country, all over the USA and Canada, and I've only been a few places in Mexico, but coast to coast, so I was gone a whole lot, so I really didn't, my lifestyle was not conducive to raising a family, and just so happens, being married, neither one of us could produce any children, so that's how that turned out. But now, in my retirement years, of course I've been retired for 20 years now, so in my retirement years I find that I love the Filipino people here. They're very nice. They're not very demanding. So I get along fine. Of course, I don't drink or smoke either, so I wouldn't do that anyway with the family. I wouldn't spend money that the family needs for my own vices, so to speak. So we settled in the province here, Batangas province, and I don't really want, even though I still have my license is good for motorcycles. I rode motorcycles for 50 years, and but I'm not interested in buying anything like that. The traffic here is crazy. The people are just like insane drivers. They have no discipline at all. Not that they're nutty, going to cut you off or shoot you or anything like that. It's just that it's like a free-for-all out there. So they say 1,000 motorcyclists a year get killed here, because I guess there's more than one reason. But I think it's basically the lack of discipline on the road. Not like America. I mean, you can't make a left turn and without signaling and stuff like that. You'll get fined for it. So they don't do any of that here. There's nothing like that going on here at all. So it's an easy place to live if you mind your own business, and there's plenty of food here. You just have to get used to it. If you like eating rice, this is the place. But they have chicken adobo, pork adobo, but they have tons of different kinds of vegetables and fruits. Of course, they have watermelon here. They have oranges, tangerines, pears, apples, a lot of bananas, coconuts, mangoes. So a lot of different kinds of fruit here. And it's really not that expensive, although with the COVID, food expenses have been getting higher, of course. That's worldwide anyway. So they'll probably come down a little bit better. Right now it's summertime here. It's very extremely hot. I would say it's probably around 90 every day, which we only saw that where I lived, July and August in America. The rest of the time, pretty nice living in New England. It was very cool. Temperatures were great. And of course that's my home. That's really where my heart is. But since I didn't really have a personal family, I have one brother living in Florida, and I have nephews and nieces, but I don't hear much from them because they're all grown up now and they have their own lives. So I didn't really expect to hear much. But I think I don't know how many years I got left for retirement as far as my health goes. I mean, I'm fairly healthy, though I did have heart attacks before I left New England. And but I don't do anything really to disrupt that, to cause any more grief with that. But you know, as you get older, you get arthritis and such, and the winter times are not good for that. So I'm doing much better here in the Philippines. I get my rest. I do what I want. There's nothing that I have to do anymore. I have written a lot of free verse in my life, and I used to sing every weekend. But now we have karaoke here, so that's what we do. We feel like singing. I don't really have to do much except behave myself, which is really hard for me to do. It's always an independent guy. But if there are any retired people thinking about making a change, I would highly recommend the Philippines. And there's plenty of women here. They're like 6 to 1, 6 females for every male in the Philippines. I think the nation has 112 or so million people here. Of course, they're scattered out all over the place because there are 7,160 islands, I believe, or atolls here. So it's relatively flat. They have mountainous country, of course, but they have like 24 volcanoes, which only 2 of them, Natabo and Taal, have been active. Last year, Taal blew off, and that caused a big hassle. They have monsoons and typhoons here, the rain, but they don't last long. Of course, there are some areas that are prone to flooding just like the U.S. But basically, the public transportation, they have buses, but jeepney is the way to go. It's real cheap to ride, or a trike. You can ride on a trike or a petty bike. But anyway, there's cheap transportation here, very cheap. So I wouldn't personally, at my age, not buy another vehicle. Not even, unless it was a trike for the family to use, which they have a lot of. It's the brand names like Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, things of that nature. But they mostly they all run 125s or 150 cc's, so they get a lot of like 100 miles to the gallon. There are a lot of those, but like I said, if you wanted to use one to go local here and there, or maybe get out when the traffic's not bad and get out to go see some of the country, go to the beaches. The beaches here, of course, we're on an island, so there are beaches everywhere. So, but I recommend that if you're retired and you're single and you want to find a woman, come on to the Philippines. But don't make a lot of mistakes as far as hanging out in the bar room and stuff like that. That's not where to find a quality woman. You go shopping in the shopping malls, and you can sit down, have a cup of coffee, and before you know it, they'll be talking to you. Or you can talk to them, just question them. You ask them if they're single, and maybe just sit down and talk with you. But if you go to the bars and clubs, you're looking for trouble, because those women are just looking for a sugar daddy. Not that the other woman.
Malls also like that.
What?
Malls also like that.
What do you mean?
The girl come to you.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, just because you're in the mall and they look nice and they come and talk to you, you really need to do some vetting. You check up on them. Don't give them all the information that they're looking for. But because you don't know, even if it's a bar girl, they're out doing shopping. and they're also shopping for a man. Your age really doesn't make any difference because I'm older than dirt, and I have a decent wife. Uh, you know, all the other ones, they all look so beautiful. They all have, Filipinos have pretty faces, and most of them are tiny. But they all like to cook, and they're very adept at keeping things clean themselves and their homes. They like to keep a clean house. But I have met a few women while I was sitting out at the mall. My wife was shopping, but I just chat with them, and that's as far as it goes. I wouldn't do anything. I don't have to do anything anymore. But you know, they inch around. They're trying to find out, you know, where you from? Are you married? Do you have children? Blah blah. The same old stuff, right? But I'll just say that if you want to be happy the rest of your life, come to the Philippines and live a good life here. And, it doesn't cost a lot of money. You'd be surprised. You can get a nice place to live between $200 and $400 a month, and there's no way that you would find that in the USA unless you want to live in the ghetto. So the women are just totally different than the women in the US. Most of the women in the US, they drink and smoke, and they still party, and they're not trustworthy. I've had a bunch of relationships in the last few years. One of my lady friend passed away, and I had a lot of opportunities for other women, but no way that they compare to a Filipino or Asian woman. They're just different here. They have different values, and so they're easy to get along with, really. But if you're going to be a miser, or you're going to be a drinker or a smoker, don't even bother, because you're going to do them and yourself a disservice. Be nice to these people, and they're nice to you. That's the way it works. What comes around goes around. So I'm saying personally, I've had a lot of relationships. I've had motorcycle business, trucking business, kennel supply. I've done a lot in my life, a whole lot. And I'm satisfied with what I'm doing here. I get a decent Social Security pension, and I'm okay here. I'm healthy here. I don't feel as bad as I did in the U.S. with the cold. Oh my God, the cold would drive me crazy all winter long. It'd be like you're in prison. You go outside and you freeze. Well, you know, your water line freezes, or you can't shovel your car out. Car won't start. Just baloney. Here, you don't need to worry about that. But if you wanted to have a motorcycle, for instance, you can buy a brand new 150 Yamaha for $1,000. And you can also buy a trike for maybe a used trike for $1,000. It might be just a 125cc, but that's all you need. You know, unless you want to. And if you want to go exploring, you can rent a van with a driver, or you can get on a bus and go somewhere, which I don't recommend personally. I recommend that hiring a van and a driver take you to the beach, something like that. And there's great food everywhere, depending on what you like. And like the USA, they have a lottery here. You can buy lottery tickets. The malls are expensive, and things are very, very reasonable. Shirts and shorts, you can buy a pair of shorts and a shirt for $5. So don't forget, you know, it's peso here. So if you make $1,000 a month, you're making here's 50,000 peso. So you can buy a lot with that. And I recommend, most of the women you're going to meet will have children. And whether or not, that's what I'm talking about, vetting. You need to find out if they're divorced, if the husband's in the background. But most of the guys here, once they make a baby, they take off. They run away to another province somewhere. They get lost. So there are a lot of nice places to live here. And they have everything in the supermarkets that you want, USA brands. There'll be Hershey bars or Pepsi or Coke, Mountain Dew. They even have Pizza Huts here, Little Caesars Pizza, Shakey's Pizza Parlor, Kenny Rogers Chicken, McDonald's, Burger King. They have Chevrolets and Fords for sale here from the dealers. And they have just about everything that in America that you have here, that you have in America, excuse me. So, I don't know what else to tell you, but I'll just say that if you're a retired man and you're a decent guy, they don't care if you weigh a couple of 100 pounds. They care if you're a drinker or a smoker. They don't appreciate that at all. And you can't be rude. And you just have to be a good guy. And you'll have a good woman, and you'll have the rest of your life to enjoy.
If they want you, then help them to find one.
Find what?
Find a woman.
Yeah, so if you get in touch with me, I know a lot of women here that are looking for a man from 28 years old to 48 years old. And they're all decent women. They take care of themselves. They're not mean because they probably had bad relationships in the past. And some of them, their children are all grown up and not even living around here or something. But they all work. They like to work. They like to make money. Of course, they don't make the money you make in the USA. But that means if you come here, you can rent a house and for not a lot of money and utilities and everything. You're only talking about spending about $600 a month without food. That's Wi-Fi, electricity, water, the rent, everything, okay? And you can hire a maid for short money. But if you marry a Filipino, you probably won't need a maid. But it just depends on how much you get going on. My wife does cooking and stuff like that. She sells empanadas, and she's always been a busy woman. So that's what I found out about her in the 2 years that we were online. I find out that she was a good worker. She wasn't a bar girl or anything. Not that bar girls are beautiful to look at, yeah, right. But that's as far as it goes. Do not get involved. So if you want to find a quality woman, I can help you find one right here. There are a lot. We live in a gated community, a development, and it's very nice. The houses are all like concrete, but they're all together. You know what I'm saying? But we all have. We don't have much of a yard, but we have carport, and we have a place for plant pots, and most of them have 2 bathrooms. Some of them have 1. Comfort. They call them comfort room here. But I would say that never have any trouble with neighbors, anything. And if you have a vehicle or a motorcycle, you put it right inside the carport. We happen to use our carport for recreation when people show up. If you buy everybody here likes karaoke, so you find that just about everybody sings. So you can buy a karaoke machine reasonable, refrigerators, stoves, all of that stuff is fairly reasonable. And we bought all new stuff here 2 years ago, and it's still going good. So I would say if you want a decent life, a retired guy, doesn't make it if you're 60 or 80. You have a good attitude, and you're not a drunk, and you're not a mean guy. But if you're mean, leave it in the USA. Don't even bother coming here. If you're coming here to abuse women, don't even think about it. Because they're all about families here, and all their families are like interwoven. My wife just happens to have 6 sisters. I know them all, but we don't do much together except for holidays. We all get together on somebody's birthday or something like that. and everybody has a birthday cake, and there's no fighting going on. I've never seen any fighting. I haven't even seen any fighting in the streets here. Maybe in Manila you'll see it, but that's because they get crazy. They're either homeless, drunk, or on drugs or something. But the government here is really rough on drugs. If you're doing drugs, forget about it. You're going to jail. And the jails here are terrible. Some of the worst jails in the world. So if you want a good place to retire, forget about Florida. Florida's corrupt and a lot of crime over there. We don't have the crime here. That's what I've noticed. I mean, once in a while there's a shooting or whatever, but very, very seldom. I haven't seen 2.5 years I've been here. Haven't seen any major problems like that. And when there's a storm like that, or a typhoon, or a volcano explodes, people help each other. That's what they do here. It's not like America where you say, up yours, buddy, take care of yourself. Nah, that doesn't happen here. You have to help your neighbors here. That's the way you get along. But you're going to find the women very attractive. A pretty face, pretty smile, pretty hair, and usually 90% of them have a decent body. They're nice to look at, and they like to communicate. So now in my house here we have I have 2 daughters, a son-in-law, an 8-month-old baby, and my wife and I. Plus we have a maid. And maids are inexpensive. You can get a maid for $100 a month. So I would recommend, if you're a driver and you want to have a new car or something, you don't even need it. Trust me when I tell you. You're a retired guy, you don't need a car. Your wife might want a car. Somebody in the family may want a car. And maybe they drive okay, maybe they don't. And what I'm saying is, personally, as a retired man, I drove all my life. I drove like 65 years. Okay, I get 4 million miles behind the wheel, tractor trailer, no accidents. I had rode motorcycles 50 years, never had a problem. But over here, it's a different ball game. So I would say, just come over here and enjoy yourself. Retire and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Go out with your woman to get dinner or something. Don't make a crazy habit of going out and drinking, blah, 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 blah. That's going to get you nowhere. You're going to get worse. You want to be healthy and stay healthy, then maintain healthy habits. That's all I can tell you. Property's fairly cheap here, though. You can build a house. You can build a house with land for $50,000. And you couldn't do that in the USA, I know, unless you were up in the woods of Maine or somewhere. Anyway, this is my vlog. I just wanted to talk about life here and what to expect if you want to come here. So if there's any gentlemen out there retired or thinking about retiring shortly, let me tell you, you don't need a lot of money. You don't need a $5,000 a month pension. You can get by very nicely here with a family for $1,000 a month. No problemo. So look to it. And if you get hooked up with a young woman that has children, just accept it, because then they're going to be your family. And they need care too, so don't be selfish. That's all I can tell you. So God bless, and we'll talk to you again. And good luck.